depending on where you are in the world. We're going to get started. On the screen right now, I have some instructions for connecting to the audio. So hopefully you are able to get that working properly. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, you're able to type those in, and I will wait till the end to review them, and I'll either be able to answer your question on the webinar or I will send you an email with a response. So our webinar today is called All About the Recommendations for Communities. My name is Kate Dilworth, and I am the Marketing Director for the National Alliance for Youth Sports. So I'm going to be your presenter and the host for today's webinar. It's going to be a brief one. We typically do some more educational webinars that can be a little longer, but today we're going to do about 20 minutes, and it's going to be an update on our recommendations for communities, which was just recently re-released. And then at the end, we'll also talk for about a minute about a couple new programs that we have at the National Alliance for Youth Sports. So this is, again, it's going to be brief. We have here the topics that we're going to talk about today. The goal of the webinar is really to introduce you to the resource. So we're not going to go into full discussion about each section or the entire resource, but we want to give you an overview. And then afterwards, we encourage you to take the time to review the resource. We're going to let you know where you can find it. And you're going to be very familiar with how you can use it and how you can implement it in your community. So first, we're going to go through the history of the resource, of the recommendations for communities, how it was created, a look at where we are today and why it was updated, and then specifically about the document, we'll talk about the audience. We'll talk about the 3 parts, 1, 2, and 3 of the recommendations. Some supporting content. We'll show you some things that are in the resource in addition to the 3 recommendations. I'll also show you some screenshots from our website, which is a supplemental resource to the document so that you can access it, you can share it, you can show your support, and also view some examples. So we'll go into that, and then again at the end is going to be a couple other complementary programs and many of which are free. So definitely stay until the end to learn about our new free programs that anyone in youth sports would benefit from. So let's flash back. We're going to flash back to July of 2000. And you may be familiar with this event if you have been working in youth sports, or if you've been coaching, or if you just remember it from the news. But it was at a suburban Boston ice rink, so it's a youth sports event. One man beat another father to death during their son's youth hockey practice. So it wasn't even a game. They're arguing over rough play. So this event, this outraged a lot of people. So the dad was sentenced to 6 to 10 years in prison. I believe he served about 8 years in prison. But because this event caused so much outrage, and because we're the National Alliance for Youth Sports, we try to be a leading advocate for positive and safe youth sports. We felt like there was really something that we needed to do about it, and our partners and our members felt the same thing. We wanted to make sure that incidents like these don't happen in youth sports. It's not the place. So as a response to this specific event and also other events that were going on like it, we held a national summit on raising community standards in children's sports. So the summit happened in 2001. It was in Chicago. We had recreation professionals from 34 states coming together, and we really wanted to take a look at these problems that were affecting youth sports and come up with a plan, come up with guidelines that any community could use to make sure that violence like this doesn't happen in their community. What can we do about it? So the summit was hosted by us, National Alliance for Youth Sports, and also the National Recreation and Park Association. So after this summit, as a result of the summit, was the original document. So everyone at the summit came to a consensus about some guidelines, some recommendations that could be put together. And in 2002, the original resource was released. So it's been available since then. Leaders all over the country have been using this as guidelines for making changes in youth sports, and we know that it has really helped a lot of communities. Every one of our CYSAs are certified youth sports administrators. If you're on this webinar, you're probably very familiar with the document and the importance of the document. But we're taking, fast forward to today, to present day, and what's happening. You can probably ask yourself, do you think all of the issues in youth sports have been solved? And it's not the case. So we still have incidents happening, and some of them get national attention. Some of them are just hitting local news stories. We have, just a couple weeks ago, a youth basketball referee killed a coach over a dispute. This was in Mississippi, and maybe you heard about it. We don't think it had been getting that much attention, as much as it should be, but there's news titles like this coming out all the time. So we have here, we're in South Florida, so this was a local story for us, but it was parents lose control at kids' games, and this article was going through several incidents that were happening, what the reporter was saying was back to back, and you see the small paragraph right here. It says, more than once a month in South Florida, a parent of a young athlete punches another parent, storms a playing field, spits on a referee. So they're just going through story after story that are now common, and we hear these all the time. We hear them from youth sports administrators that we work with, and people that write into us and are looking for help from us. So again, more reasons why we needed to reintroduce our recommendations. You may have seen a lot of news articles like this too. Registered sex offender arrested for coaching youth basketball team. So even things that you'd think we have control over now are just still happening. So we also did a survey. So taking a step aside from violence, there's just a few other common trends in youth sports that have been noticed, and from our survey that we did last year, it really confirmed those findings. But what we have is an increase of youth sports organizations, so independent or volunteer-ran youth sports organizations, because probably definitely when the original document came out, but in the past it was mostly common for it to just be the Parks and Recreation Department running youth sports leagues, and now it's very common for an independent group to create their own league, either in addition to what the parks are offering, or maybe parks aren't even offering programs anymore. But this trend has really been increasing. Definitely there is an inconsistency in management techniques. So this is management techniques of within a volunteer youth sports league, so how they manage their league. They don't even have to be affiliated with a Little League or Pop Warner or something like that. You can just create your own league, create your own board, and then run it however you see fit. There's also an inconsistency in how Parks and Recreation departments manage the leagues in their community. Usually there is a relationship, but that relationship is different, from city to city, town to town, county to county. So, and then thirdly, and here we have a perceived lack of control over the public facilities. So the public owns these facilities, the cities or the counties are running the facilities, and they feel like they don't have control over what's happening. This is what we've learned from working with youth sports organizations over the years. So just to take a little deeper look about what we're talking about here, from our survey, we found that 88% of public entities have volunteer youth sports organizations using their facilities. So that's, a pretty high amount when it used to be mostly park programs only. From inconsistency, we had statistics too, but I wanted to show you this quote from one of those articles was some park districts and leagues have instituted mandatory preseason education sessions to lay out guidelines. So some, it's like not everyone's on the same page. Some are getting the hang of good practices, but not all. And we wanted to see a little bit more consistency in what's going on, or at least a consistent recommendation. And then the lack of control, this is something that personally I hear all the time when I go to different conferences and represent National Alliance for Youth Sports, but people tell us that they don't have control over the youth sports. A private group's responsible. We just give them the facility permit and they do whatever they want. And to that, what we kind of say is give me a break. I mean, who's going to have the responsibility here? Is it okay to just say you guys can do whatever you want and we don't care how you run your program, when things like the violence and you know, inappropriate people working with children are occurring, and we know that they're occurring in youth sports? So what we came up with is that we need to really reintroduce the recommendations for communities. We need to update it. We need to make it a little bit stronger of a resource, and we need to bring light to it again and get more communities aware of things that they can do to improve their programs. So just one more statistic from the survey that we found was that 70% of the recreation professionals agree that they are responsible for what happens on the facilities. And I think that's a really important finding. Cities and counties still feel like they're responsible because they're providing the facilities and they're allowing use of the facilities to different programs. And why do they feel responsible? We think it's because of who youth sports are really for. And we don't ever want you to forget who youth sports programs are for. Who are they for? The children. This is why we feel that the recommendations are so important. They have the potential to improve youth sports experiences for kids, and that is why we have youth sports, and that's why we're doing it in the first place. We put a lot of emphasis on administration, coaching, parenting, but it's really for the kids, and we always need to make sure that you don't forget that it's for the kids. So going back to the document, the audience of the recommendations, really the document, it speaks to community officials and recreation leaders at cities and counties. We feel that those are the individuals who have the ability to impact public regulations, at least immediately, regarding youth sports programs and youth sports facilities. But also, the audience of the recommendations for communities is any concerned citizen. We know that many times it really takes a dedicated parent, a dedicated coach, or a volunteer to spark the change. And I like this quote that said, a small spark can start a great fire. So if you are concerned about what's happening in your community, then you really can be the one to change it, to bring it to the community officials that can make change. And so we want to encourage you to use this document and familiarize yourself with it as well. So the document, the recommendations specifically, we have 3 parts to the recommendations. They're the same 3 parts as the original document. We reorganized the document, we updated the supporting content, and we released a new version to bring awareness to the resource again. But these 3 parts are the same 3 parts. It's to adopt a community philosophy, appoint a professional youth sports administrator, and to hold everyone accountable. Again, you'll notice that these 3 are organized in the document, with headings and things like that. But I want you to remember too that these 3 things, they were a compilation of input from the youth sports professionals throughout the country. So this is from the summit, and this is what everyone agreed what were the recommendations. It's not something that we're here at our office and this is how we say it is. No, you all have the experience and you all agree that these are the recommendations. So aside from the parts 1, 2, 3 of the recommendations, and of course those go into more detail, but the resource is full of a lot of supporting content. So we have an overview of children's sports in the country, the purpose of youth sports, a look at how youth sports are commonly structured. We have information like the valuable role youth sports play in a child's life, information about specific problems and issues that affect youth sports, and what can be taken to change the culture of children's sports. So all this information is included in the resource as well. And then I mentioned that we put a website section together with supplemental tools as well. That's here. I'm going to make sure that you get that in the chat box and the comment section, so you'll see a couple links that I'll type in right at the end. But you can visit this section, definitely write it down and bookmark it. But within here, we have, let's see, you can view the document. Obviously, that's important. So you can download the full document, or we have a 2-page executive summary. You want to get the quick and dirty, or you want to share that with someone else briefly, you can download the executive summary. Just a few screenshots as well, so you can get familiar with how the website section works, but there's a few buttons here that will pop up in a new window. We have resources to help you share the document, so a whole page about that, including a template letter that you could use to email or mail to someone, especially a community official, about the resource. We have other supplemental materials like templates and example documents, which I'll go ahead and show you a couple screenshots as well. So templates, we have self-assessment, community resolution, sanctioning requirements, facility usage applications. These are all things that are referenced within the document. And then examples, we have a few different communities that have allowed us to share their field usage policies and procedures. So some of these are long documents that you can learn from communities who are doing a great job with managing youth sports. Lastly, on the website, you can add your signature of support. So there's a little form that you can say, I read it, I agree with you, I want to be an official supporter. And you can give us your name and information, and we will add you to the list gladly. So definitely we want you to visit the website to access, share, and implement the resource. So again, make sure you write this down. I'm going to also put it in the webinar panel too. But if you also aren't familiar with National Alliance for Youth Sports, we are a nonprofit. We're founded in 1981. We started as our National Youth Sports Coaches Association, which is still our flagship program, but it's a training and membership program for volunteer coaches, the dads and moms and volunteers who coach child sports teams. So aside from that, we also offer programs for everyone involved in youth sports. We've come a long way since just training coaches, administrators, both professional and volunteer, officials, parents, and then we have programs for the children that a community can implement. Start Smart, our golf program, and our running program. Okay, just another minute left. I want to talk about the new programs that we have, a lot of which are free. Again, we're going to give you our website address and my email address, so if you're interested in any of these, please reach out. We have a free Sports Parents Pledge, which is somewhere that youth sport parents can go to pledge their dedication to improving youth sports. It signs them up for a 6-part email series, so they're getting tips on how to be a better parent in youth sports, how to make youth sports better for their child. So again, this is free, great thing to post on your website to show parents that there's somewhere they can go for information. Also, we have the next 2 bullets here are free programs as well. Used to just be available to our members, but now they're available to any coach or parent who wants to get the training. One's a concussion training, the other is a bullying prevention training. And then lastly, we recently updated our National Youth Sports Officials training video. So if you are involved with the league and you want to take a look at that and get some training for your officials, then definitely send me an email and I can give you access to that entire training. So thank you so much for your time. Again, I'm going to type in our website here and to make sure that you visit the recommendations site, but also send me an email if you have any questions, you want to get a little bit more information about those free programs that I talked about. And then also add your signature of support to the website. We want to get that recommendations for communities signature page to be a mile long, and we love to have you be a part of it. So I'm adding the website URL right now. Go ahead and take a moment now, take 5 minutes to get familiar with the website section, share it with your fellow administrators, fellow coaches, and things like that. So thank you so much. You all have a great day.